Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 5 of the Talkin ATL Hawks podcast. Like always, I'm paired up with my boy John Joyner, my brother Andrew Jefferson, and of course myself, Chase Jefferson, here to talk about some more Atlanta Hawks content. Now, where we left off, in our last episode, the Hawks are currently playing the Portland Trailblazers, which, breaking news in case you don't know, we threw that game away. But then we played a couple of games since then. We had a game on the road in Sacramento, on the road against Golden State, and then we played at Chicago for our third NBA Cup game before finally coming home tomorrow night against the Mavericks. But before we cover all of that and what's happened this past week, I'm gonna ask y'all how's y'all's week been? How y'all doing on this Thanksgiving break? In case y'all don't know, we go to the University of West Georgia. We just had Thanksgiving break. I'm not gonna lie, it's such a good feeling knowing I can sleep in tomorrow and not having to go to class.
Yeah, same here. I'm glad to be done with school for a week. Just glad to be home with the family and some friends. And just looking forward to a stress free week. Besides watching the
Dude,
Hawks against play this week, but
yeah.
There's nothing stress free when you watch Hawks basketball. And I will
yeah,
say, we'll get into the games that we need to talk about for this episode here in a minute. But I'm just gonna go and say, just to put some foreshadowing out there for what we're about to talk about. We really needed to win this game Monday night. We have lost a lot of momentum that we really need to regain. This is our first home game back in a while. We just came off a brutal West Coast road trip, and now we're also debuting our 2024 City Edition jerseys this upcoming Monday. So of course everyone loves the Trae Young versus Luka Doncic rivalry. So it's going to be a good one. Luka Doncic didn't play. Yeah, he didn't play.
Rivalry.
I don't think Luka's playing this game. I think he's out. I think he's hurt. I think he's injured.
You're right, John, because I just remembered that Luka did not play for the Mavericks their previous game. So I think John may be right. Actually, Chase, if you want to keep talking, I'll look it up real quick and I'll see what his health status is.
Before we hop into any games, I want to make this claim, Angie, because you said the Trae Young and Luka rivalry. I want to ask y'all, do y'all really think that there really is a rivalry here? Dude, I thought about this, because Luka and Trae, if you see them throughout the years, they are really close to each other. They're actually really cool. Remember when they played in the Rising Stars competitions when they were rookie? They were having a great time, vibing with each other. There's no beef within the two. I think the reason they call it a rivalry is because technically we drafted Luka and then they drafted Trae for us and we just swapped the two because it was a whole deal that happened on draft night. But I think it's a narrative that the NBA is just really trying to push. Like they really want Trae and Luka to be a rivalry so bad, but it's just not becoming one. I just want y'all to talk about this. Is this really a true rivalry?
So while Andrew's I'm looking up like a status of Luka. I guess we'll start off by saying, so for me personally, I just think that the NBA is pushing that narrative off because of that 2018 draft trade. People were saying that the Hawks lost that trade. You trade away like a dinner, trade away like who's a generational talent, like a good talent. Yes, Luke is good. Yes, yes, he's made the NBA Finals with the Mavericks, but it took him. But like if y'all remember, Trae Young made to the Eastern Conference Finals before Luka did. Made to the Western Conference Finals. So like Trae Young, they each accomplished like more stuff like individually. So I don't really think it's a rivalry. I just more think it. I just more think it was something that each fan base like pushed out like that narrative. So me personally, I don't think it's a rivalry. I just think it's more like a friendly rivalry, honestly.
Right. It's like a friendly. It's more of a friendly competition than it is like a heated rivalry.
I will say, to add to that point, the term rivalry does not necessarily mean two sides that hate each other. I mean, it's just like John said, it's about like the whole narrative and the whole situation between the two, because that trade that happened on draft night that landed Trey in Atlanta and Luke in Dallas affected both franchises. So now when they go face to face on the court, it showcases how impactful that trade really was for both franchises and how it benefits both teams. So I think it's on like the basis of like the impact of that trade is where the term rivalry comes from, when those two step on the court at the same time. But when it comes to like off the court stuff and everything in between, it's not heated in any way. They have nothing but respect for each other, and they should have nothing for respect for each other. So I think it's a rivalry just in the term of how impactful the trades were for both franchises, and not because the two players hate each other, because they most definitely don't. But Chase, let's hop into that game that happened on Sacramento to cap off this episode, because
before we hop in the game against Sacramento, there is that while we were recording episode 4, the Portland game was going on, and that's a game I really want to touch on, because that's a game that the Hawks just completely let slip away. So we started recording that episode around halftime of that game, and the Hawks had a tremendous first half, really just a tremendous first quarter, winning that first quarter 33-21, and the Trailblazers won the next quarter by 4. But heading out of halftime, it really seemed like the Hawks were in the driver's seat, and this was their game to lose. Well, it 100% was their game to lose, and we watched it slip away, and it was really because of that third quarter where the Trailblazers won it 38-17, because the Hawks won the fourth quarter by 9, and they were in prime position to win the game until Shaedon Sharpe hit one of the most ridiculous contested threes at the shot clock buzzer to really put the nail in the coffin against the Hawks. And that terrible third quarter, and we've seen this before. Me and Andrew talked about it after the game. I think we even mentioned it in the group chat that we had between the three when the Atlanta Hawks were playing. A couple weeks ago, when the Bulls came to Atlanta, me and Andrew and I went to the game, and it kind of seemed like a similar story. The Hawks came out the gate running. They were attacking all areas. They were hitting their open threes. They were attacking the paint, causing turnovers, really executing in transition. And then it seems like in the second half, the Hawks just run out of gas and everything just completely falls apart. We saw it happen in the fourth quarter against the Chicago game when Chicago came to Atlanta, and Atlanta let that one slip away. Same with Portland. Though we played decent in the fourth quarter. We didn't even play great in the fourth quarter. It was decent. We just played better than the Trailblazers. But that third quarter, we were completely out of gas. All that energy we had in the first half was gone. We weren't forcing any turnovers. We were missing our open looks, and we weren't as aggressive in the paint as we were in the first half. And it just seems like the Hawks they click right out of the gate, but as the game progresses, we run out of gas, and that's when the teams take advantage of us. Now, no disrespect to Shaedon Sharpe. I kind of said he had a miracle shot like he did nothing, because he had 32 points. Now, Trae Young also had 29 before.
Let me stop you right there, Chase. Let me stop you right there. Just to provide. No, I'm gonna let you finish, but just to provide context for those who did not watch the game, and this is the shot that Chase was talking about. Can anyone see can y'all see my screen?
No.
Y'all can't see my screen. Okay.
We're gonna show us. Show us the next replay.
Yeah, I thought I cooked, but I guess I didn't cook anymore. Can y'all seriously not see my screen?
No.
Right.
You keep talking. You keep talking, Chase. I'm gonna figure this out.
I just want to point out that DeAndre Hunter did not play this game, which the Trailblazers dropped 114. No DeAndre Hunter, that's one of our best mid-range providers. We can really attack mid-range when Hunter's on the court. It also hurts defensively when Hunter's on the court because he's a really solid defensive player. So they did drop 114 on us, and it was weird because Hunter did play the game before, but they didn't play against Portland. It was a little interesting. But while Andrew gets us figured out, Joyner, I'm going to shoot it to you. I kind of want you to break down this collapse. And can you kind of get some emphasis on what went wrong, especially in that third quarter, that just cost the Hawks to lose this one?
Well, I mean, like Andrew was saying, and like y'all were saying, Shaedon Sharpe, he did drop 32. He did hit a ridiculous a ridiculous shot. I mean, I really have no words. I mean, like I generally don't know where we went wrong. I mean, like our starters did well. Like Ricochet had 11, Johnson at 25, Trey at 29, Daniels at 12. I mean, our bench didn't really help out a lot. Like Oneka was Oneka was our leading bench scorer with 11. And then Garrison Matthews had six, and then Vic Krejci I'm at 8. I mean, Hunter didn't play, but we didn't expect him to because he is coming back
Right.
from an injury slowly. So so we didn't expect him to play. But I mean, I think I don't know. I just think we just collapsed defensively, and that sometimes that happens.
And
Hey,
before
so
I shoot it to you, Andrew, Joyner, you did mention Garrison Matthews and Vitt. Those are two players that I'm going to talk about. We're going to bring this up later on in the podcast. I'm going to save it. Just keep Garrison Matthews and Vitt. Keep both of those players in your mind because they're going to be brought up later on. But Andrew, no replay?
Can you add the so I had this video pulled up. Can you not add it to the stage? I think it's something that you have to do on your end.
No, let's see. Well, give your thoughts on this matchup while I try to figure this out.
Okay. So
Oh,
yeah. So
actually,
just
I'm gonna stop you there.
okay. There you go. So you
Yo,
can
there
see
we
it.
go. And this
So
is
you
cool.
can see it. You can see it now, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we got it.
All right. So this is the shot that Chase was talking about. Let's analyze let's just analyze. Can y'all see my mouse too?
Yes.
Yes, we see
Oh,
everything.
this is perfect. Okay. So let's kind of analyze what we see on the court right here. Do we need to start doing this more often? This is kind of sick. Okay, so you got you got Bit right here that's at the top guard shot. First of all, this is a matchup right here. You need to have Dyson Daniels on Sharp because at this point he already has 29 points on the game. So
Yeah.
obviously their top scorer. You got a minute 07 left. So you need to bring Dyson Daniels up to the wing to guard Sharp to prevent him from coming inside. Because you got a Kongu sitting in the paint already, and you got Jaden Johnson directing his attention this way. So if Sharp makes a cut, he can, go help him out. Because in a moment like this, you can sacrifice an open winger, an open forward to take a three because you want to prevent him from coming inside at all costs. So right out the gate, I don't like Vid at the top of the key guarding Sharp. But what you're about to see when I hit play kind of shows that none of this was on Vid's fault. Because if you pay attention here, there's already 3.1 seconds left on the shot clock. So even though I don't like the matchup, it doesn't really matter. Because all Vid has to do is prevent him from getting a shot up. And this is what the result was. Now, mind you, Hawks up by 2 with a minute 07 left.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things where, like, it's a step back. He had to throw up a prayer. You got about a minute left of the game, and he drains it. And it's really unfortunate because the Trailblazers were gaining so much momentum from that fourth quarter alone that it seemed like that shot right there is what really put the nail in the coffin for Atlanta because we already had to overcome a big run that Portland was on. We were running out of timeouts. So we had to save it for the foul game. So you couldn't stop momentum with a timeout. You'd just try to get buckets. But the Trailblazers were hot. They were getting turnovers. They were killing us on the fast break, on this quick transitions, and we just couldn't slow them down. Like you said, Chase, it was our game to lose, and we let it slip from our fingertips. Very disappointing.
Well, so of course we fought the tough loss of Portland, and this is a problem that we talk. I'm pretty sure we brought this point up every single episode of this podcast. The Hawks are notorious for losing the games we're supposed to win. Of course, the infamous 2 losses against the Wizards at the start of the year. This loss against Portland, just 2. Those are 3 losses already this young season that the Hawks should really have on their resume. And in fact, if we did get those wins, the Hawks would be sitting at 10-7 right now, not 7-10. But that was a Sunday game, and we had a back-to-back. Because the very next day, we went on the road to play a tough match against Sacramento. Sacramento came to Atlanta earlier in the year, and the Hawks almost made a tremendous fourth-quarter comeback to steal that one. However, the Kings did pull it through. So the Hawks had this rematch on the road, and after losing that one at Portland, you really feel like the Hawks needed this one. And Joyner, I'm going to shoot to you first. What happen when the Hawks went on to play that game in Sacramento. Because I think so far that was probably the best overall performance I've seen from the Hawks all year.
We talk about the okay, yeah,
just on that game, yeah.
okay. Um, I'm gonna just say 3 words: great barrier thief.
Yes.
Yeah,
All I'm gonna say
baby.
is, like I said, I think I said this, like, I don't know, like, no, I'm only gonna say it, like immediately after the game, but like maybe the morning after. Depoy, Depoy, he needs that award. He needs that award. Like, I genuinely don't think like a guard has ever won that award. I mean, y'all could fact check me on this. Like, I think it's mainly for like forwards and when centers, because like those are like bigger guys and like they can play more like versatile defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like Hunter scored 24, which I was this like Hunter's like first game back? Was this Hunter's
It
first
was
game back?
it was his
His
first
second game
game
back.
back, second game back, because he played in like that game against Washington for the NBA Cup, and then didn't play against Portland, but then played that game in Sacramento.
Okay, because Trae Young struggled, but DeAndre Hunter had 24 points off the bench.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Remember, guys, we're still starting Zachary. We're just starting our rookie. Like, but Zachary did. Zachary did fantastic. He had 18 points. He was our leading starting scorer with on 18. Capella had 24. And then we also started Garrison Matthews because we were down. Who else was out? Johnson, yeah, Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson didn't play. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I mean, we didn't have like our. I want to say our second scoring option like on the floor.
Right.
So so that was huge for DeAndre Hunter to step up like off the bench, and I mean, like we've been saying, like we had the, like we had this conversation like last week. Should we like continue to start or we should say or do we go back to starting Hunter? I mean, I think either way, like it's a good move because like if we can get this production from Hunter like off the bench, that's great. But I mean, like also like I think we should. I would also like. I wouldn't be surprised like if the Hawks like do reduce Zach's minutes just because he's a rookie and he like it's only his first season. We don't really want him to play too much, you know. So I mean, I'm just saying is Dyson Daniels a defensive menace and DeAndre Hunter a great bench option for us.
Oh yeah,
that game.
and
Yeah, so
I think you're right, and I think the whole thing with Zachary and DeAndre Hunter. I think what the Hawks are really trying to do is really push Zachary's minutes because they're really trying to get that number 1 overall pick potential out of him, especially because he's surrounded by such a young core with Dyson Daniels, aka the Great Barrier Thief, which has to be the best nickname in the NBA now, hands down. And then you got Jalen Johnson, who's has, and then you got other pieces like DeAndre Hunter, who's starting to get more healthy. And I think if you can develop Zachary into the number 1 overall pick talent that he has, mixed up with this young roster, 3-4 years down the road, the Hawks are going to have a really strengthened core that will have all that chemistry built together, assuming that they stick around. Because the Hawks kind of had to mold themselves into a reality that Trae Young's not going to be here forever. We know that. This is year 7. And whether he leaves early or he leaves a couple years down the road, you've got to start building a stable foundation for whenever Trae leaves. So that way he doesn't just leave a mess behind, that the Hawks still have a good group together. But I do want to up the two. You're out Jalen Johnson. The Hawks got some key rotational pieces back with Bogdan Bogdanovic and Kobe Buffkin, both active from that game. Because, of course, Bogdanovic had that right hamstring injury, and he played his first game since the season opener, and Buffkin recovered from that right shoulder, and he hasn't been active all season. And, of course, it's important to note that the Kings were out DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis, but still, they have a very strong core together. But, so Chase, I'm not going to actually let you talk about the end of the game because Dyson Daniels made probably the greatest defensive play you're ever going to see. But before I do, I want to really use this guy right here to talk about one of the Hawks' biggest weaknesses this season that we have not seen fixed yet. So let's talk about a guy for the Kings named Keon Ellis, who entered the game averaging 5.3 points per game this season. He made his first 6 threes in the first half and became the 5th player in Kings history to make 9 3-pointers in a game. That totaled out to be 33 points. So, Chase, I'm going to share my screen really quick if you will allow me to.
Sure,
just whenever you can. Just let me know when you're there.
While I'm pulling this up, because it takes a little bit, Joyner, so you did mention that you don't know if a guard's ever won Defense Player of the Year, and you're kind of right. So Marcus Smart was the last guard to win it in 2021. But before Marcus Smart, there hasn't been a guard to win it since Gary Payton in 1996. So Dyson Daniels will be the second guard since 1996 to win it. So you're right. Guards don't win it very often.
Yeah, and I think it's just because like centers can block easily, get blocks, get defensive rebounds. That's why I think that and plus they're generally bigger, so they have more strength and can defend easier. Guards are smaller and can they get abused a lot, especially by forwards. That's why I'm thinking it's more of a forward / center type of award. But I mean, hey,
yeah, it's mainly the size.
Dyson deserves it.
And as you can see here, I was talking about Keon Ellis. As you can see up here, he also had 6 rebounds, which is a weird thing to note because I do want to say, although in previous episodes we talked a lot of crap about Clay Capella, these last few games, even though the Hawks have been disappointing, he's played like his vintage self. And it's actually Onyeka Okongwu who's been really struggling on getting these offensive and defensive boards. And it's really just the Hawks' lack of boxing out in the paint in general. But let's hop into this. First of all, let's appreciate this beautiful court design that goes along with these sick Kings jerseys, I will say. But now, if you look at the bottom right of the screen, this is what Chex was talking about earlier in the episode, how the Hawks are prone to getting off to very hot starts. They can't maintain that efficiency throughout the game. So we're up 22-6 with about 5:08 left to go in the quarter. This is when Keon Ellis really starts popping off. So I'll kind of play the video as I talk, but you can kind of see how the Hawks have issues with not only picking up wide open threes, but just closing out in general, because the Kings, what they really abuse here, and you're going to see a lot here, they like to switch Keon Ellis off of the defender. So you saw that, let me go back to this play real quick. So you saw that Keon Ellis was matched up with the Hawks' best player, Dyson Daniels, and the Kings noticed this, so they did a really smart play here. They got the guy that was guarded by Bogdanovic, set a screen on Dyson Daniels, and roll out this way, and it's De'Aaron Fox. So when you pause it right here, both Dyson Daniels, who wants to guard the Kings' most efficient paint scorer, looks like he's going to drive it and take it to the paint. So honestly, Bogdan's going to be on alert and be like, well, Fox already has the edge on Dyson Daniels when it comes to getting across the wing, so he wants to provide that defensive help. So he gets both players off of Keon Ellis, which of course leads them to a wide open three. And this is something that the Hawks have to really be aware of on the court against teams who are well coached, because they're going to do this the entire game. Same thing here. I mean, this is just a great pull up on Kobe Buffkin. Nothing wrong with what the Hawks did there. So that's his third three already. And then you see Keon Ellis again, trying to find that space right there, gets blocked by Zachary, rebound, and then obviously Kobe Buffkin and Bogdanovic are ready to go on a fast break, so they both bounce off him. This was just a bad switch off by Trae Young. That's 5 threes now. No closeout whatsoever other than that Kobe Buffkin contest. And here he is coming around. Dyson Daniels again. Good screen step back. That's just another amazing pull-up. That was a heat check moment right there. This is when the Kings start building a lead. Now down by one. Kevin Huerter, who was ice cold, finds Keon Ellis, gets the pass off. That was just a good assist. I didn't even know they were going to show an assist. I didn't even know they were showing assists out here. But there's Keon Ellis. Again, coming off the screen. This is something that the Hawks have to look forward going down the stretch, how to avoid, is the opposing team getting open looks coming off screens. Because it is, I don't know what, Trae Young just fell asleep there. I don't know what. Trae Young is not a good defensive guard. I mean, that's no news alert because everybody knows that.
That's why we got Dyson. We don't need
exactly, Jason, John. Sorry, and then look, and that was just the icing on the cake. And then look at this crap right here. Fast break, Zachary, horrible pass attempt right there. Zachary needs a. That's where Zachary lacks a lot of confidence. And then Keon Ellis again, causing ruckus, blocking Clint Capella. But the main emphasis of what I was trying to show there, you can get it off now, Chase, is how the Hawks do terrible defending off screens because it leads to wide open looks all the time and just overall closing out the 3-point. But Chase, as you saw there, for those who didn't watch the game, the Hawks were still well in the stride to get across that finishing line in that fourth quarter. So tell us how it ended, Chase, and why is Dyson Daniels called the Great Barrier Thief?
So Hawks were currently up by one with about 22 seconds left, and we had possession. So this is a key moment in the game where you have to get some points on the board because you don't want to give the Kings one last possession where they can win the game. Because I believe there was at this point, I don't remember how many seconds were separating the shot of the game call. There's a good bit. So what the Hawks tried to do was Trae rolled in the paint, and he was trying to kick it out to the guy in the corner, which was DeAndre Hunter. But if you watch the replay, it was an off pass by Trae Young, which caused Hunter to bobble the ball a little bit and then pull up a very off and awkward-looking corner three, which, of course, he missed. And the Kings came out the rebound with about 9 seconds left. So, of course, they instantly give it to De'Aaron Fox, someone who can sprint down the court and give the Kings their best chance to win the game. So he goes down the court, and it was DeAndre Hunter who was originally on him. He spin moves to get around Hunter, and then he tries to take a step back mid-range against Dyson Daniels. But Dyson Daniels, he knows this is how you know a guy like Dyson Daniels pays attention to his matchup and that he's watching film because he read that step. Yeah.
While you're talking, pull up my screen again, and I'll let them watch the replay while you talk. But you keep talking. A little bit. Sorry, you can keep explaining your point.
So this is the guy that knows his matchup well. I'll actually go and wait for it to pull up. This is how you know the guy like Dyson Daniels pays attention to his matchup. He reads the film. He studies the players. Because you see here, it was Hunter, so he does a spin move there. So right here, so you see Hunter's originally on him, doesn't maybe get by Hunter. He does Daniels, reads a step back. He doesn't bite for the fade. And as DeAndre Fox is going high for the mid-range, Dyson keeps his arm low so he can knock the ball down. As you see here, so Fox is going to go for his follow-up for the mid-range. And the Dyson Daniels is going to keep his arm low and swipe the ball down. So that way he loses control on the way up, allowing Daniel to grab the rebound, keep his foot in play, toss it in bounds to officially win the game. Now, one thing in the NBA, you all know it, the refs are very picky. Today's NBA refs are very picky. So it's hard to consistently get steals and deflections and takeaways without a foul being called. So Dyson Daniels has got it down to a recipe. He's got it down to a dime where he knows exactly how to maintain possession ball because it's all about hand position. So like I mentioned, when Fox is going up for his mid-range, it's all about keeping your arm low so you hit nothing but the ball because Fox is going high on the mid-range. So if you keep the arm low, there's nothing you can hit but the ball, which is exactly what Dyson Daniels did to knock the ball free, grab the rebound, and ladies and gentlemen, that is the breakdown. That is just one example of many on why he is known as, like Jordan said, the Great Barrier Thief, which I think it was Garrison Matthews that gave him that name, if I'm not mistaken. I think Garrison Matthews came up with the Great Barrier Thief. Could be wrong.
I think it was. I thought it was Bogey. Maybe
It might have been. It was either Bogey, Garrison Matthews. I can't remember. I think it was definitely one of them two. But that's besides the point. That is just one example of many on why Dyson Daniels right now is the greatest defensive player in this regular season.
And so let's talk about where the Hawks are sitting right now before we go into this next game. So we pivot from the best looking version of the Hawks we've seen all year to the worst looking version of the Hawks we've seen all year. So after this Kings game, the Hawks have won 3 of their last 4, upsetting the Celtics on opening group play of the NBA Cup without Trae Young on their own home court, going back home and dominating the Wizards to go 2-0 in the NBA Cup, drop a heartbreaker that we should have won against Portland, and they get a big win on the road against the Kings. That's winning 3 of your last 4. So we're riding a lot of momentum off this road trip. And now we're going to Golden State, Red Hot Golden State, who, of course, has Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, a lot of really good young pieces that have shown up, like DiVincenzo, who's really been not DiVincenzo. Who am I thinking of?
For the Warriors, they're talking about the curly-headed guy.
What? It's not DiVincenzo. I don't know why I said that. Hold on, I'm gonna look up Golden.
It's like Brandon Posmitsky, like Posmitsky, I think is how you pronounce it.
was he Waters?
No, Brandon Posmitsky. Brandon Posmitsky.
Yeah,
that's who it is.
Posmitsky.
He's become the replacement for Klay Thompson for that Golden State team. And they were 10-2 going to this game. The Hawks had their backs against the wall, but we were riding a high. So we thought we were at least going to see a competitive ball game. So, Jordan, I'm going to let you kick us off and talk about everything that went wrong for that Hawks and Warriors game. And, Chase, while he talks, I'm just going to pull up the highlights to just kind of play in the background while Jordan talks, just so y'all can kind of get – look at actually what went down in terms of what the Hawks did wrong to really let this game slip. But if you want to start diving into it, Joyner, you've got the floor.
I mean, like, no one. I mean, like, looking back. Looking back at the box score, no one on our team really like stood out. Like, they all did pretty okay. But on the other hand, Golden State, which we knew that they had firepower with Curry, Wiggins. I mean, Curry had 23, 7 3 is set. No, 4 threes. 4 threes. I mean, like I was saying, like before, I was talking about this last week when we were talking about closing the episode last week. Like, we just need, like, you can't like stop Curry completely. You just gotta neutralize him.
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't neutralize him. He still showed us why he's the greatest shooter of all time.
Right.
And like Wiggins only did more damage, but Buddy Hield, who I think was the Klay Thompson replacement, like shot 3 for 9 from 3 for 11 points. And yeah, they just had more firepower than we did. That's all I got for it. Just they had more firepower, which.
And you're gonna see in these highlights right here. First of all,
this is one of the key differences.
Was that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say one of the key differences between the Hawk performance against the Kings to the performance against the Warriors. The Hawks,
my gosh,
right out the game, I believe they hit 7. What?
Oh, sorry, I just kept showing ads, but keep talking.
Oh, ads. I thought you might have cut out or something. But so the Hawks, I believe, against the Kings hit 7 of their first 8 threes. And then they struggled a little bit second, third quarter. But fourth quarter, we hit a lot of clutch threes. The Warriors, however, shot 12 for 45 beyond the perimeter. That's roughly 27%. The defense, though Buddy Hield had a great game, though Wiggins had a really good game, I I'd say until the fourth quarter, the Hawks played very well defensively, but the killer was offensively. We couldn't hit any of our open shots. The ball movement was very sloppy, creating a lack of open shots. But even the opportunities we did get, we didn't execute whatsoever. I'll say that again. 12 for 45. We shot 45 threes and hit 12. In today's NBA, that's definitely not going to slide. And to me, that was just the big difference on why this was an abysmal performance for the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, and first of all, I want to compliment the Warriors' amazing court design. Again, this is absolutely beautiful from the City Edition. But yeah, it's the same thing you said. Like we stuck into this game up until the point you're seeing right now. About 3 minutes left in the first quarter is when things really started coming to reality. Now, you're going to see another great effort from DeAndre Hunter in this game, coming off the bench, just really utilizing the mid-range game because he dropped almost another near 20-point performance. And we had Jalen Johnson back at this game as well. But it's just when you're playing a team, like you said, Joyner, you can't stop Curry. It's just about how well you maintain him. And the Hawks maintained it very well in the first half. Curry offensively had less than 10 points going into halftime. So the Hawks were doing their thing when it comes to taking Curry off the scoreboard. But what we didn't do well, as you saw in that replay right there, lack of box out. The Warriors had way too many second chance points for a game that was already getting out of hand. And the Hawks, like you said, Chase, were kind of finding their rhythm from beyond the arc. You had Bogey coming back. You had a Kongu who's been efficient from the corner. Dyson Daniels is starting to find his rhythm. But nothing was connecting for the Hawks beyond the arc in this game right here against the Warriors. And obviously, they have great defensive presence. Draymond Green makes almost every layup impossible. And, I mean, aside from that one feed from Clint Capella, you had a couple of those. Trae Young had a great game on the assist side of the ball, not really the scoring side of the ball. His scoring has really dropped these last few games. He's really been focused on being a playmaker, which I don't mind, but it does become an issue when you're creating separation and shots for your teammates, but they're not knocking them through, which we saw a lot in this game against Golden State. And it's just – and bad turnovers like that. I mean, again, that would have been a great feed from Trae Kongu who had a layup, but just bad turnovers leading to bad transitions. And we left a lot to be desired in this game. And we couldn't even shoot free throws. I mean, we couldn't even they call it the charity stripe for a reason. You can lose the screen, Chase. I don't want to get in trouble with all these ads. Actually, I can do it on my end.
I thought it's not copyright. I'm sure. No, I'm just kidding. We're good.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. But regardless, it's just a lot to be desired, and we couldn't find offensive consistency from anywhere for that matter. But we are kind of winding down to like the last 3 minutes of this episode, so I want to throw it over to what happened in Chicago really quick. I'm going to say something, and then I'm going to throw it to you, Joyner. So my kind of takeaways. Now, mind you, the Hawks were 2-0 in group play heading into this Friday night matchup. The Bulls were 0-1 in group play, so they were really needing this win on the reddest court I have ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, like I was saying, like that court is beautiful. Like that actually might be my favorite court.
I did like it.
I liked it, but it was a little too much red for my liking. It wasn't bad, just very, very red. But for teams whose, Bulls, all they see is red, so I guess it makes sense. But my biggest takeaway is for the Hawks. Bojan Bogdanovic really found his rhythm in this game. You want to talk about the Hawks' lack of offense from beyond the arc? He was the only one that could make a three for us in that Chicago game. Came off the bench, scored 16 points, including 4 3-pointers. Now the Bulls, their forward, I'm a big Florida State fan, so I have a lot of love for Patrick Williams. But he missed a second straight game with an inflammation in his left foot. So as good as a defensive presence as Patrick Williams is, we didn't have to face him. And you know who took his place? Dozaminu, I believe is how you say his name.
Dosunmu.
Yeah, that guy. He took his place, Patrick Williams' place in the starting lineup. And Coach Billy Donovan, he didn't have any timeline for Williams' return. So this was a big role that Dozaminu was stepping up in. But the key stat of the game is that the Hawks had 14 offensive rebounds to Chicago's 5 offensive rebounds. But Chicago had we couldn't capitalize on any of the offensive rebounds that we were finding. So those are again more points that the Hawks were leaving left on the board. And then you had players like Nikola Vucevic had 18 points and 13 rebounds, which was his 11th double-double. And then the kitty fiddler himself, Josh Giddey, scored 18 points.
Wow, he actually went over to the age he likes. Wow, interesting.
That's insane. That's an insane comment. That's funny though. That's funny. Yeah, he had 18 points, so he actually reached the legal age limit in this game. And the Bulls shot a season high 57% from the floor, knocking 49 of their 86 shots, and all 5 of their starters, just like we saw in Atlanta, all 5 of their starters reached double figures. But, John, I want you to kind of have the final moments of this episode. What were your takeaways from that horrible performance? And I also want to mention, now that the Hawks dropped 2-1 to NBA group play, the only way the Hawks can get into Vegas is if we beat the Cavaliers this upcoming week. And for anyone who's not been sleeping under a rock, the Cavaliers look like the best team in the NBA. So, Jordan, what are your takeaways, and what do the Hawks have to do if we want to upset the Cavs?
First of all, like, is the game in Cleveland? Wait, is it in Cleveland?
It's in Atlanta. It's in Atlanta, which is going to help a little bit.
So we should have a rocking state. So we should have a pretty packed stadium. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I mean, like going back to look at this game. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, like, I mean, I think I pretty much covered it. I mean, the only thing I can take away is like Dyson Daniels like struggled shooting. He only made 3 shots. But I mean, I don't know. I just think that like it was on the Bulls. The Bulls home forward that they need to win more than we did. They really need to win more than we did, if we're being honest. But like, I mean, that's all you can really just say is that they wanted it more. I guess that's all. It's all that I have.
All right, Chase. Do you have any closing remarks you want to make before we wrap this up?
I do. This is what I want to end with. I told you to keep 2 names in mind: Garrison Matthews and Vitt. And let me break it down to you. Against Golden State, Garrison Matthews and Vitt both had 4 minutes. Chicago, however, Garrison Matthews had 1 minute and Vitt had 3 minutes. Quinn Snyder, I love him as a head coach. I think the Hawks have the right guy at head coach. But one thing that I don't think he does well is deciding who needs to be on the court. Remember that I'll never forget when Quinn Snyder, what he did with A.J. Griffin. He comes to Atlanta, he uses A.J. Griffin, and A.J. Griffin does incredible. And then the next year, he just completely neglects A.J. Griffin, doesn't use him at all, and then ends up losing him. He shoots him. And I don't want him to make the same mistake here, but Garrison Matthew is, to me, he's almost like Kyle Korver was with Atlanta. A fantastic spot shooter. And then Vitt is a great floor spacer. He has great ball movement, and he's also a great shooter. These are 2 valuable pieces you have on the bench. And I feel like Quinn Snyder's almost neglecting them and not really using them, especially when we used them earlier this season. And we've already seen them do incredible things. And I love Quinn Snyder. Like I said, I do think he's a right head coach of the Hawks. I just don't understand some of his logic when he's not using players like Vitt and Garrison Matthews, who have been key performers for the Hawks in this young season, up until the last couple of games when he hasn't used them at all. That's what I want to end with.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this episode up. So when we guys see you again, just so y'all know kind of who the Hawks have coming up. So we take care of we play the Mavericks on this coming Monday night. Like I said, it'll be the opener for the Hawk City Edition jerseys. We're going to see the beautiful court, the revamped lift as we fly jerseys from what we saw last year. They look a lot better. Not like these are bad, but they just look better to me, in my opinion. And then we go to Cleveland on Wednesday night for just a regular season matchup against the top team in the NBA. And then on Friday night, we come back home to play Cleveland again for the fourth and final NBA Cup group stage game, which would determine the last team from that group to get into Vegas. And then on Saturday night, we play at Charlotte, a team that we always struggle against, even though we beat them early in the season. LaMelo Ball has been going off, and then that game will be Saturday night. So then Sunday night or Sunday, we'll record this episode, talk to you guys of how these 4 matchups went. My dream scenario, obviously, the Hawks go 4-0 this upcoming week. We become 11-10 on the year, and we have a trip to Vegas in our belt. But if not, we'll be here to rant like this is our therapy session. But we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening in to our Hawks banter. As for Chase, myself, and John Joyner, we will see you guys next episode. Go Hawks.
Sounds good. Caw.
Let's go.